Hi friends, thank you for coming back to my YouTube channel to learn more about how you can be your best you. In the prior videos in this series, I've shared my view that there are 6 major steps on the journey to becoming your best you. We've talked about the first 5, which are gratitude, positivity, belief, goals, and discipline. Now it's time to talk about the 6th and final step, which is performance. No matter what goal you set, and no matter how hard you work to be ready for it, you're probably going to need to show up at the appointed time and actually accomplish the thing that you've been training for. There's almost always a big race or a big game or a big test or a big meeting that you need to ace to actually achieve the thing that you've been ready for. And with all the work that you put in and with how dedicated you've been, it's really important on that day to actually show up and get it done. After all, given how hard you worked, it's really important to walk away from that day knowing you gave it your all and to feel a sense of pride in what you accomplished and not a sense of regret at the opportunity that you missed. Now, for this video, for inspiration, I chose this spot where I'm surrounded by my race medals and by my marathon numbers, all of which I had to actually show up and achieve to be able to display here. So these always give me a sense of pride knowing that for each one of these, there's a story where I actually showed up and got it done. And in particular, I just wanted to call out this one right here, which was from a long time ago, 1989, when I ran a sub 3-hour marathon for the only time. But it's a moment that to this day, I still remain proud that I not only trained hard for, but on that day, executed on my plan and got it done. So what strategies can help you be ready to execute on your big day? I'm happy to share 3 that have worked well for me. The first of those 3 is preparation. You want to think through in advance all of the things that are going to happen on that big day, before, during, and after your performance. For me, when I have a big race or a big event, I always make a checklist, at least to about 2 weeks in advance. And in that checklist, I cover off a bunch of things. I cover off the clothing that I'm going to need, both before, during, and after the race. I cover off the gear that I'm going to want, either during the race or at the start line or the finish line. I cover off the food and hydration that I'm going to need, and then I make sure I know what the schedule for the day is. When do I need, how soon in advance do I need to be there? How long is it going to take to park, to get to the starting area? How much time do I want to leave to just kind of check in and go to the bathroom? Have all of that planned out. In addition, there's other variables you want to think about. What's the weather forecast for that day? If it's going to be really hot, if it's going to be really rainy and really cold, you need to make adjustments. And you need to be prepared for those adjustments in advance so they don't surprise you on race day. Also, have you checked the course map? Do you know where the obstacles are if it's an obstacle race? Do you know where the changes in elevation are? Where are the big hills? Know where those are going to happen and in what order so that you're prepared. Really, the key is you want to be able to expect everything that's going to happen in that race and not be surprised. And you also don't want to be rushed. If you get to the race or you wake up on race day and all of a sudden things are coming up that you weren't prepared for, and you're running late, or you get there and you don't have enough time to use the bathroom before the race, for example, you're going to feel stressed. You're not going to be in the right mindset to perform well, and it's going to affect your performance. So plan ahead, be prepared, be on time. The second strategy to help you perform on your big day is visualization. Now, visualization is a form of preparation, but I like to call it out separately because it's pretty unique. In visualization, you're going to go into your mind and you're going to literally picture yourself going through the entire event where you're performing, from the very beginning to the very end. Let's take the example of a race. You're going to visualize the start line. You're going to visualize the start of the race, how you're going to feel at the start, what the crowd is going to be like. You're going to visualize your first few miles, your first few obstacles. You're going to visualize your pace. You're going to visualize where the topography or the terrain changes. You're going to visualize where your pace might change or where your strategy might change. And let's say there's a big hill or a big obstacle, the toughest part of the course for you. You're going to visualize that. You're going to visualize when you're going to reach it, what it's going to look like, how you're going to attack it. And finally, you need to visualize when it's going to start to get hard. When are you going to start to feel fatigue? Because if you're pushing yourself, you will. Visualize how that's going to feel. Know it's coming. It's not a sign that something's going wrong. It's a sign that you're actually performing well. And you'll know not to get afraid and not to panic, but to keep pushing through so that you can do your best. Visualize yourself doing well, but also visualize the challenges that you're going to encounter along the way and how you're going to overcome them. That way, as stuff happens during the race, you're not surprised. It's all going according to your plan, and you're going to execute well, and you're going to do an amazing job. Now, there's a saying, and it's a bit of a cliche, about the power of positive thinking. Well, it turns out it's actually true, scientifically. There have been many studies that show that being exposed to positive reinforcement before and during a performance actually enables you to perform better than if you're exposed to negative reinforcement. There's a wonderful book that I've read recently called Endure by Alex Hutchinson. And in this book, Alex Hutchinson cites a study, one of many, where there were cyclists who were put through a grueling cycling workout. And while they were in their workout, they were looking at a monitor, which might have had a cycling course or something that they were looking at. But while they were riding, they were given subliminal messages. Half of them were given subliminal messages that they were doing well. They were having a good race. They were feeling good. The other half were given subliminal messages that they weren't doing well, that this was hard, that they were struggling. And predictably, the group that was given the positive messages statistically outperformed the other group. So it really does work. Fill your mind with positive views that you can accomplish something, and you'll be much more likely to do it. At the end of the book, one of the conclusions that Alex Hutchinson reaches is that before every race, he's going to fill himself with positive thinking and motivation because it's one of the things that actually statistically shown to work. So go out there, visualize yourself succeeding, visualize yourself overcoming the hard obstacles that are going to happen along the way, because you know what? You can do it, and you will do it. The third strategy to help you perform in your big day is endurance. Now, endurance refers to your ability to continue to perform at a high level, even through extensive effort and fatigue. Now, if you can keep going and give it your best, even after you start to feel pain, even after you start to feel fatigue, then you are capable of accomplishing things that you never thought were possible. In the book I mentioned earlier called Endure, Alex Hutchinson cites numerous studies that show that when you start to feel fatigue in an event, let's say like a marathon, typically at that point your body is only at about 20 to 30% of its full capacity. Your body can go a lot farther than that, but what happens is that your mind starts to step in. Your mind is like the overly worried parent who wants to make sure you don't get hurt at all. The mind is acting as what they call a central governor, and it's sending signals to your body to warn your body that you're okay. You're not at the end yet, but you're starting to kind of get on that journey towards maxing out, and why don't you slow it down a bit? But the reality is, in most cases, you're nowhere near that limit yet. Your body is just giving you very conservative signals. So if you've prepared for your race and you've got a plan, you can keep pushing. Your body has, 70 to 80% more left in it. It's just that your mind that you have to kind of overcome. But if you can do that and you can believe in yourself and believe in the power of your body, then you can push through and you can accomplish personal bests, epic things that you'll be proud of forever. So push your body, believe in it. It's an amazing tool. Remember though, there are two types of pain. One type of pain is temporary. It's the pain of fatigue. It's the pain of being out of breath. It's the pain of your muscles burning. Then there's pain that's more permanent, which is the pain of regret. I can think back to a moment in one of my Spartan races. It was the first Spartan Beast I ever did in Killington, Vermont. It's where I earned this t-shirt. And Killington is the hardest course in the United States for Spartans. And the Spartan Beast is the hardest beast you can do in the US. And I knew this as I signed up, and I knew it was going to be a hard race. And I did prepare, but not as well as I should have. And in my preparation, I somehow missed the fact that about mile 12, when there was, less than 2 miles to go, I was going to hit one of the steepest hills in the course. And over the previous 12 miles, I had run a lot of hills on that course. It is renowned for being incredibly steep. There's even one part called the Death March, where you go 1.25 miles straight up the mountain. And that's really what kills a lot of the athletes. But there's so many people that push through it and endure and keep going. And I was one of them. And so in that race, I pushed through the Death March. I pushed through all the hills. And then I got to mile 12 and I figured, you know what? I'm almost at the finish line. I could smell the end of that race, and I could feel the adrenaline pumping for knowing I was almost done. I did not realize I had another big hill ahead of me. And all of a sudden, we got to the mile 12, and that big, steep hill confronted us. And so many of us felt broken. I could just see it in the eyes and the moans and the sighs of my fellow racers. It was the hill that could really break you. And I did feel that way, but I was pushing up the hill, trying to keep going. And then as I was halfway up, I saw a mother and her son wearing these t-shirts that said, pain is temporary, pride is forever. And at that moment, I said, oh my God, yes, that's exactly what I needed to hear. And I even told them, I said, thank you. That's what I needed. And from that moment, I pushed forward, conquered the rest of the hill, got through the rest of the race, finished my first beast at Killington, and felt so proud of what I had accomplished. So remember, when you're out there at the race, yes, it's going to hurt if you're really giving it your all, but push through it and you'll feel tremendous pride later on that you did. Thinking back to that t-shirt that I saw on the slopes at Killington that said, pain is temporary, pride is forever, I cannot emphasize enough the powerful difference between pride and regret. Whenever you have a big performance, one of those will be what you carry forward with you. Either you'll carry forward pride that you showed up and gave it your best, or you'll carry forward regret that you didn't. I always think about the opening line from one of my favorite workout songs, which is Lose Yourself by Eminem. You probably know the words, but here's what they say. They say, look, if you had one shot, one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, would you capture it or just let it slip? Love that line, and it's so true. I love it so much, I even included it in my wedding vows to my wife. And because I knew she was my one shot, my one opportunity to finally get it right after mistakes in my life. And I wasn't going to let her go. I was going to seize that opportunity. So in your own life, when you have a big moment, when you have the chance to do something epic, make sure you give it your all. Seize that one shot. Don't let it slip. Pride is amazing. It's something you can carry forward for all of your life, but regret's a bitch. You don't want to carry that forward either. Speaking of regret, I can share a personal story. I can look back in my life and remember some things that, I definitely regret, things that I could have and should have done better. In athletics, like one example is in cross country. In my high school cross country, we had a talented team. We could have done great things, and I could have been a really top contributor to that team. And I had my moments. I had a few races where I excelled, but I was inconsistent. There were races I would do really well and races where I would kind of be lackluster. And I can think back to those lackluster races, and I can remember what happened. It was either really hot that day, or it was, really hilly, or there was something that along the way I was feeling discomfort. And I can just remember, as I felt that discomfort, just saying, you know what, I'm just going to ease up a bit because this hurts. I don't like how this feels. And I didn't give it my all. I didn't push through in that moment and achieve the best that I could do. And maybe I came in like 4th or 5th for my team when I could have been in the top 3, could have helped us add some points to the board, give us a better chance at getting to state. And I look back on that, and it was 40 years ago, and I still remember it. I still wish I could go back and tell my high school self that you'd never get these moments back. Give it everything you have, because you will carry forward regret if you don't. In my office at work, someone, I don't know who did this, put up a quote above our copier. And it's just there, cut out of a piece of paper with Scotch tape on it. It's very unassuming, but it strikes me every time. And the quote says, "Failure sucks, but you know what sucks even more? Regret. So shoot your shot in business, in your careers, in life, and in love." Every time I see that quote, I say, yes, that's amazing. Thank you. Never can be reminded of that too much. I will leave you with one final thought in this video, which is that congratulations. If you've been successful and you followed all of the 6 steps and you showed up on your big day and you performed to your absolute best and you've achieved success, that's fantastic. But remember, success is never a final destination. You can't just stay there and coast. Not if you don't continue to be grateful, continue to view your life through the lens of positivity, continue to believe in yourself, continue to set goals, continue to put in the hard work through discipline, and then continue to perform. It is a cycle, as I mentioned at the very beginning of this series. You have to continue to repeat it. And if you do, it's a virtuous circle that feeds on itself. But you have to continue to feed it. And only then can you achieve continued success. There's a great quote in one of the rap songs that I listen to that says, "Championships can't be borrowed from those who earned it last year." And it's so true. You got to earn it again every single time. So go out there, follow the 6 steps, be your best you, and go achieve the best that you possibly can. Now, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being part of this series. It has been so much fun sharing all these thoughts with you. I really hope that they've helped you. I know they've helped me to kind of organize my thinking and inspire myself. I just hope that I'm inspiring a few other people along the way. And to the extent that I am, that makes me enormously happy. I hope we can continue to support each other, follow each other's journey. I know that I have a lot of fun ideas for more videos to post on this channel. So please subscribe to this channel so you can get alerted as more content comes out. In the meantime, you can follow along what I'm doing on Instagram at Sean Hoyt Stay Active, or on my website, www.seanhoytstayactive.com. Let me know where you are so I can follow you too. And as always, stay active and be your best you.